Mate, what's that on your head?
I'm just channeling my inner Tommy Shelby. Look, I would argue that the Queensland Winter Carnival is of a high quality, and the two of us are high quality men. And high quality men wear high quality attire. So have we figured out what these types of hats are actually called? Like the Tommy Shelby hat?
Peaky Blinders hat. I have actually not seen a minute of Peaky Blinders.
I've watched the first 2 seasons. Fantastic show. But like most things in life, I tend to lose interest over time.
But
it is what it is.
This is what we are. You know, this is the type of men that we're going to be on Stradbroke Day. This is, and pretty much every race day from now on.
I was talking to you today, mate, actually, funnily enough, about speaking things or dreams into existence, right? And for us, we have to not just speak, but we have to present ourselves in a way that, you know, we're trying to achieve a certain level of status as two blokes, right?
Okay.
And wearing these hats is just another building block in the foundation of trying to establish the type of blokes we are. We're trying to set an example for the drifters, man. Just two well-refined men.
I'm glad you saw it that way, because that's why I bought them. But the class aside, Queensland Oaks is this weekend. Initial thoughts of the race and the card?
Well, it's another great card holistically. Queensland Winter Carnival really is turning it on. The Oaks itself, I'd say, look, we've been potting South Australian racing for as long as we've been doing this podcast.
Yes.
And for good reason. What I would say is that I would argue this Oaks field isn't awfully better than theirs.
No. I think the best 2-year-old Golden Slipper winner adds interest since definitely not ever, but since She Will Reign.
Yep. There's another Group 1 winner with the Ferris Weaver in there.
Exactly. And definitely a couple up-and-comers, similar to Fame last week, that I think can stamp their authority this week. So wait in for that. Now, you're probably more across this than I, but I believe the Everest has now got an even bigger purse.
Yeah. Going to $20 million, not officially, but more than likely.
Unbelievable.
Which makes it the second richest race in the world, full stop, which is incredible. And I think the way that they're going to distribute the prize money is that if you run last, you get $700,000, which effectively pays for your slot. So if you're a slot holder in the Everest, worst case scenario, you break even, depending on the agreement that you have in place with the owners of the horse in which you're, borrowing their horse for the race, so to speak.
Yep.
It's incredible, isn't it? And I was reading about it the other day. Obviously, it's gone from strength to strength since 2017. But St. Peter V'landys and the chairman of Racing New South Wales at the time were actually modelling it off a pop-up race in the States with a similar sort of idea. A race worth an absolute mozza, get slot holders involved, so on and so forth. And the race over in the States initially, I think, was $20 million.
Right.
So that was 2016 or 2017. But now that exact same race in the States is worth $3 million. Whereas ours has just gone from strength to strength. So for whatever reason, the recipe has just worked. And yeah, I can't see it going anywhere anytime soon. And it's definitely shifted the landscape of Australian racing for the better, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think there needs to be more at stake. I don't know, like, as in, if you lose, you're still like getting something. Like, I don't know, that kind of doesn't really sit right with me. And now there's going to be a heightened, I guess, focus on the negotiations with the slot holders, I believe. So I read during the week, this is absolutely farcical and won't happen, that apparently the I Wish I Win connections are asking for too much of the slice of pie. Now, I would have thought they have every right to fight for the largest percentage that they can possibly get, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who own the horse.
I agree with that. And you'd be ludicrous to think that I Wish I Win is not going to take his place in the Everest at the end of this year.
He'll be racing there.
He'll be racing. So someone's going to agree to whatever they're asking for. And as the last horse to beat Giga Kick, and arguably the only horse capable of beating Giga Kick over 1,200 metres, if I had the money, he'd be my horse if Giga Kick wasn't. Yeah. At this, as it stands right now.
Of course.
Also, for those watching on YouTube, we're recording on a Wednesday night, as you probably know, and it's Origin night. So for those from Queensland, up the Maroons. For those who aren't, who go for Queensland, we welcome you, we respect you. And to those listeners who barrack for the Blues, go fuck yourself, Queenslander.
The Navy Blues, I believe.
Oh, mate. Do you know what I was saying to people at work this week? There is no way, as unlikely as a snowball existing in hell, would Queensland ever change the colours of our jersey. Like, we've gone different shades of maroon, like a slight...
Yeah, but it's consistent.
We're not the Queensland Reds, because then we'd be shit.
Yeah, no, we're the Maroons, you know.
They just simply don't understand Origin.
It's fascinating stuff. It really is. Let's get into the Queensland Oaks for the 3-year-old fillies. 2,200 metres, Group 1. Set weights. Fireburn is your favourite, and she has drawn wide. She has drawn barrier 16. Jay Collette is 3 from 3 when riding this girl. He rode her early days before Brendan Abdullah jumped on. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, then he actually he went to stablemate in the Slippo Sajardin. So he pulled the wrong rein there, you might say, but he's back with his favourite girl. What are your thoughts initially? Speed map, where does she get in the run?
Well, she goes back, and she'll go back from that gate. Drawn terribly, hasn't she? But yeah, I wouldn't be too stressed if you're a Fireburn fan for this race. She'll go back, and I could imagine, like what was happening last week at Eagle Farm, that you probably ride for luck, but you ride for luck up on the inside.
Yep.
3-year-old fillies getting tired towards the end of 2,200 metres will probably fan out, much like they did last year when my girl GG, Gypsy Goddess, won. So you would imagine there will a run appear itself. A run will appear on the inside.
For the 3-year-olds in the derbies and in these Oaks races, there's rarely a horse where you go, oh my God, how didn't it get a run? Because the ones that are really slow and can't run it out, they just fan and then basically get out of everyone's way. I feel like, over this distance, this big of a field, it is definitely possible, but she should get a run if it comes available. So 2,200, I'm a little bit unsure. She ran on extremely well last start over the 2,000 metres at Doomben. A rock hard Eagle Farm deck, that's got some concerns around me.
Yeah, a bone-shuddering hard deck at Eagle Farm. I can completely understand if you're a fan of Fireburn for this race, particularly off her last run. But I'm against her. After her last run, I was like, shit, what beats her in the Oaks? But the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, okay, so you had a prep during the autumn, which consisted of 5 runs, and you're coming off a 6-week break here, a freshen up, and Gary Portelli said, look, she's not fully wound up here, so there'll be improvement out of her for the Oaks. But she ran 3rd in the Vinery Sud over 2,000 metres to a star in prowess. She lost to Penny Wecker, ran 4th in the Australian Oaks there, and that was over 2,400 metres on a soft 7. So you'd think, if anything, she'd be more suited there, and I don't rate the things that beat her too highly. Like, So Dazzling beat her home there, and So Dazzling stays all day. What is she in this race? $15 with Neds. And I thought she was pretty decent. Not last start, but the start before that in the Oaks. So I don't know. I'm against Fireburn. Look, and I could have egg on my face, but I'm pretty comfortable with that, to be honest.
Yeah, so am I. If she wins, I'll be cheering, I'll be clapping, but none of mine will be on the day or in my Group 1 $100 strategy. So that begs the question then, who has garnered your interest?
Well, I'm sticking to the tried and true filly, who endured a tough run, 3 wide, 4 wide the trip in the Adelaide Oaks in her 6th start, net in the Group 1 over 2,000 metres, and that's number 2, Afera Sweevra. Afera Sweevra? Have we got it right this time? Geez, that was a tough run, wasn't it? Mm. Comes off a freshen up, trialled well just to keep her ticking over. She's with the right stable to keep her up and going. She's still lightly raced, so I think there's still plenty in the tank. And despite her wide trip, despite her tough run, she finished off that 2,000 metres really nicely. I think the 2,200 metres is not an issue at all. And she shows some gate speed too. So I think she'll be midfield or forward of midfield from that gate. 13 isn't as bad as what it initially reads. I think she'll come over, and with Johnny Allen in the saddle over these sort of distances, she's my on top end. And most of my cash will be with her, but I've left a little bit of specking in the tank for 2 others. One of which is coming over from across the Dutch, another French named horse, Cheval d'Or. Got the form around all the Kiwi type stayers, and maybe their stayers are just simply better than ours. She's got form around Sakura Girl, who's been racing over here and going pretty well. But drawn to car park. Another Kiwi jockey on, but leading the premiership over there. I think, what's his name? Michael McNabb, maybe?
Sure.
Michael McNabb. He's leading the jockey premiership over there. So $15 with Neds. I'll have a little spec on Cheval d'Or. The other one is even further down, and they weren't even sure if she was going to make the field. And that's number 17, Amakura. Brained him in her maiden by 8 lengths over 1,850 metres in Newey. Goes to the sunny coast. Wins really comfortably against the older horses on a Sunday. Might be, like to your point exactly, like a Fame type-esque horse. Really liked what I saw. D. Oliver's due for a Group 1 win, and that's a pretty good booking, like all things considered. I like that she's lightly raced too. Looks like she'll love the 2,200 metres. So she's $17 with Neds. There's a price there in which I can have a little spec. So I've laid out all my cards, and you've got yours close to your chest. So what are you thinking?
You've nailed it because, well, I hope you have. Number 17, Amakura, is the best roughie of the day. And she is a sensational bet in this race. She's currently $17 with Neds, as you outlined, but she ain't starting that price on the day. I saw on Twitter there was some pretty good judges going like, it's so unfortunate that this filly isn't going to make the field. Well, I'll tell you this for free. She's made the field.
She's made the field.
Barrier 1 does look a little bit sticky, but her last 2 runs over the 1,800 and 1,850 metres, one of them she was basically right up on the speed. One of them she was right out the back. But she does have that versatile racing pattern. So I think if she does find some trouble, Ollie is the perfect rider to be patient and hit the go button when necessary. So I had a look at her Newcastle win. Longest race on the day. There was another 1,850 metre race on the day. She ran the 3rd fastest last 600 for the meeting. Only 2 other last 600s that were quicker were over 900 metres. So half the distance. So it's pretty impressive stuff. Then, as you pointed out, against the older boys and girls at the Sunshine Coast, she won by 2 lengths, but she actually lost a shoe in the run.
Did she?
So I think this girl is going to absolutely relish the 2,200. I'm super keen to play on her. She's my on-top selection. I'm just keeping it simple. I reckon the $17 is not going to be there come game day. And since our $100 strategy is based on what the starting price is, I was going to go 1 by 3. I'm going 50 each way instead.
Yeah, lovely. I thought she'd come in 2 as well. So I've got 70 on Afera Sweevra to win. $6 with Neds at the moment. I think she'll probably stay pretty solid in the market. I don't think you'll get a much better price or a much worse price than that. I've got $20 on Amakura, and then a little tenner on Cheval d'Or.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm playing the race.
I like it. Other chances, I think Renaissance Woman has not really done much wrong against the girls this prep.
No, she hasn't. I think the other Kiwi thing that I backed last start against Fireburn, Sakura Girl, from that gate, a little bit sticky. She's typically been leading, but apparently she's a bit more dynamic than that. So I think she'll run a good race too.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's go to the rest of the undercard. Race 1 is the Phoenix for the 2-year-olds. Now, this was a near impossible race to dissect. You had Influential, who went up about a $2 favourite against the likes of Russian Alliance, Abounding and Trifling at the Sunshine Coast, and then faded to about 5th. So it's around $3.90 with Neds as we are doing this preview. But Azula is a very impressive winner at Kensington last start over the 1,400 metres for the Waterhouse Bot stable. How many bloody 2-year-olds do they have? $2.90 favourite. I could see her featuring here.
Yeah, I'm not overly confident. I'd probably stick with Influential, to be honest. Last starting profile. So, Influential, but no, not overly confident.
One, I'm hunting for value this week. I think I got double-figure tips in basically every single race. Number 12, Electric Tigress. So only had the one start, but had a ton of trials for Kieran David Eustace. Wasn't going that quick in her trial, but picked up really late over the 1,200 metres and got going. Step up to 1,500. I actually love that for her. So I think if they can run on at Eagle Farm, which it can be a little bit leaderish, especially given the good ground, she might be one that features late at $21, mind you.
Sheesh.
Race 4, the Lightning Handicap, 1,000 metres listed race. Now, one of yours is racing here, number 2, Malkovich. And he's a very fast horse over 1,000 metres.
Yeah, he's very fast. So I'm probably leaning in his direction, lugging the top weight. I think he just went simply too fast last start. I think it was over 1,100 metres. So, yeah, I'm probably leaning more towards Malkovich. Spacewalk. He was incredibly close to winning last start when he nearly beat home.
Golden Boom?
Prince of Boom? One of the booms. One of the booms. So, yeah,
Golden Boom.
They're the two for me. But, yeah, I'm prepared to forgive Malkovich for last start, especially because he's got Josh Parr back on, who rode him to victory in Hawkesbury, but wasn't on him last start. So,
and no, I'm thinking of the other thing. Overpass. Don't worry. I was like, yeah, and he won on him in the Quokka. Wrong horse. Good stuff. My tip is number 9, Rubiquitous. I thought at $5.50, he's a nice little bet here. Smashed him back in March. Same track, same distance. Has absolutely stellar form at the distance. 1,000-metre horses for 1,000-metre distances, we typically say. Flies first up, drawn well, should hit the front and be pretty damn hard to get past, I would have thought. That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on that one. Race 5 is the National Classic Wait for Age for the Fillies Mares. Now, Foxy Frida has come up awfully short.
She has.
$2.25.
She has, and I've backed her every start so far this prep, but I'm just cognizant that this is her third go in a row at 1,600 metres. Oh, look, yeah, she is short in the market, and I can definitely see her winning. Another horse, Frumos, who we both backed last start, which was just a fantastic bet, might I add. $7.50, and she's a good chance. I'm actually hunting for some value in this race. There's a horse called number 11, Osmose, who I backed first up in the Sunny Coast when she went way too hard up front and she faded to finish 9th. That was her first run in the country. Much improved next start against Frumos, running 3rd, and she was ridden a little bit more conservatively. So Draws Gate 1 here. T. Clark back on board again. She's the obvious leader in the race for me. So I think they can lead this time. but I think they should be able to reel off some pretty cheap sectionals over a mile. So Osmos is the one for me. She's $12 with Ned, so hopefully she can hold on for the win. But if not, she's at a price where, if she fades to second or third, that's fine too.
Yep. I think it's that type of race. If you get the favourite beaten, you're going to get richly rewarded. So there's two that I want to play with here. First one, no surprises to anyone. Number 6, pretty amazing. I just wish they would race this thing over 2,000 metres. But they are adamant that she's a miler, apparently. So it's a huge, huge price for a horse that ran on really, really nicely last start. And I've been following her basically all prep. So $17 is a huge price with the good people in Ned. So she'll probably be last if she can run on during the day. Hopefully, all my tips are seemingly like that. So I'm having a small bet on her. The other one is, how would you pronounce number 10's name?
Oh, geez, that's my belly. Can you hear that? Princess Rhaenys.
Yeah. Yep.
Why's that?
Oh, it's just spelt weirdly.
I think Rhaenys is a character out of Game of Thrones. One of the Targaryens, perhaps.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Number 10, the Princess. She's another horse at a biggest price here. And so this is her third start for the Tony Gollan stable. Both starts, she has hit the line really nicely. Another back marker, so she'll probably be last with pretty amazing. I think she could be right in the game here, so I'll be having a quinella on those two as well, which could pay absolutely anything.
Hit that orange button and you Ned's that, which is the juice button.
Duh. Number 6, the Spear Chief Handicap.
The first leg of the quadrella.
1,500 metres listed race. I thought this was a stinky race.
This is a stinky race. And do you know what we do when there's a stinky race, mate? We get little juicer out. We try and find some juice. Try and find some value. Mm-hmm. And there's a horse who was scratched last start, who I didn't back when I should have, when he won last race. Number 4, Character. He's $14 at Ned's. Like, even if I think he's got a massive chance in this race, he's going to have some of mine because he owes me. What about you?
Friends of our podcast, the Mugs Punting.
Mugs.
And he does some work with the leg up these days as well. Lloydie of Lloydie fame. He has a I think his Twitter handle is even this. It's called Rocky Form. So I'm going Rocky Form in this contest. It's pretty. I don't think you get much better Rocky Form than the Archer, to be honest. And number 1, Alpine Edge won that contest, but this fella wasn't too far behind it, and that is number 8, Namazu.
He's not Marzu, that's for sure.
No. But first up at $60. Doesn't read first up in your form, guys, but he was 8 weeks between runs. I think he was virtually first up. Has 0 form over the when he's first up, but ran 4th. So I think he was only a length and a half behind the likes of Alpine Edge, Emerald Kingdom, Winona Smart One, at $60. Second up has sensational form. So I'm treating it like it's his second up run here. 13 sticky though. If he finds a spot, he could be on pace and keep grinding away to the line. So Namazu for me.
You are juice hunting, aren't you?
I am. Race 7 is the Moreton Cup, 3-year-olds and up. Group 2, over 1,200 metres. I also thought this was extremely difficult.
It is a tricky race too, yeah. The Queensland Prince of Boom, who's $4.20 with Ned's, who's got form out of the Victory Stakes and the Doom and 10,000, is the 1,200 metres too much of a stretch for him? Geez, he goes quick up front. I think he's going to get a little bit annoyed by some of the other horses up front. So I think there's going to be a bit too much pressure on Prince of Boom. If you're on Quantico last start, like our good friend Brad Weston, geez, he was unlucky not to win that race in the Hortensia Stakes against Altheric, coming home like a freight train. He got held up for about 150 metres. So I think he's a rightful favourite for this race. He's $3.40 with the good people at Ned's. They are desperate for him to get into the Stradbroke. Same with a couple of others in this. So it is a tough race, but we're going to bash the favourite and dive in with Quantico.
I think this might be the first and last ever time I lob into number 11 Clemenceau. Definitely not one of mine, but I think we can call it even after this weekend when he wins for me at $8.50. Barrier 3, Ryan Maloney, lol, in the saddle. Mate, this horse started a $2.90 favourite against Think About It last start.
Yeah, shit.
So I think he has the starting price profile, and I think I've mentioned this previously on this podcast. He's the bookie's best friend because he starts at bloody $2 each start.
Yeah, he does. I get sucked in every time.
Yeah. So his last 3 starts, where he's been knocked off by Bacchanalia, Think About It, and Cannonball, he started the favourite each time, which is absolutely insane. But I think when the favoured horse has been forgotten, I want to jump on. I feel like that's the right time. $8.50, yes please. Barrier 3, sit forward to midfield and find the gaps at the right time, please.
You could just picture the punters when he wins, just going, Clemenceau, did anyone put him in the quaddy?
And I'll be there just nodding my head. Thank you.
Winners win.
All right, the Queensland Day Stakes is the way to end the card. A listed race for the 3-year-olds. Happens again. I thought this was tough, though. It is a tough card this weekend.
Yeah, it is tough. I was mightily impressed with Red Card's win last start down in Scone. I was on Ojai that day.
Learned your lesson there.
I learned my lesson. I was on the wrong Godolphin thing. I was really impressed with how Red Card put away the field. And you're getting $4.20 at the moment with the good people at Ned's. I think she'll definitely sharpen up from that quote. So, for me, I'm a big fan of Red Card in this race. Obvious danger is Golden Boot. He's just a good horse. He was great last start. Just holding on to beat Spacewalk. I'm hoping that the 1,200 metres finds him out. So, Red Card, Godolphin filly in the last for me.
I agree. I think the 1,200 metres will find him out. So I've gone, shock, value hunting again. I'm going for a horse that hasn't, I don't think she's won since her 2-year-old year. So that's how well this thing's going. But she's been a bit of a victim for being on wet tracks, and she probably just wasn't going as good. But this horse ran second to Coolangatta in the Magic Millions, and that's number 8, Russian Conquest. Now, 74 weeks in between drinks, right? Kind of goes against one of my key form theories, which is what have they done over the last 12 months? And she's run second once. But I saw enough in the Gold Coast Guineas at the Sunshine Coast behind Yellow Brick, where she was actually held up during the run as well. And she actually had to cross heels, still hit the line really nicely to only miss by about 2 lengths. $17 is a big price for her. So on a Eagle Farm good track, I think she can feature.
Fair enough. Bit of juice there. Need to chuck on a quaddie this weekend for sure with good people at Ned's.
I think so. I think it's a quaddie weekend. I might even have extremely small plays in the races that we talked about, but nothing huge because you don't really need to, do you?
No, you don't. If you're looking for juice, you don't need to have a big glass until it's full. But no, look, I'm excited for the weekend as well. It's heating up. This is just a nice little entree for next weekend. The Stradbroke. Looked at first noms today for the Stradbroke and the JJ. Already got the ponies in my mind who I am interested in backing. There's going to be a couple of smart ones most likely miss out in the Stradbroke Handicap, which is a shame. Immediately Opal Ridge comes to mind. She's 24th in the order of entry. Yellow Brick as well. He's 27th in the order of entry. So a couple others there. So it's going to be an interesting race, whatever happens. But I've got a sneaking suspicion that there's going to be a couple of slow ones taking the place of a couple fast ones, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. So the ones that are guaranteed to run, so they basically had a ballot exempt race win. It's Royal Merchant, Surf Dancer. Think about it. Now, I had a look at the Kingsmith Cup, and I couldn't find anything about that being a ballot exempt race. So that was a surprise to me. 54 kilos, he's in the game now.
100%.
Hawaii 5-0 with 49.5. Hello.
Shit.
And TikTok Queen, which is all fascinating stuff. But I agree. Opal Ridge is the one that is probably going to be the tough luck story, I think.
Yeah, and she would have had, 49.5 kilos as well, probably. So, yeah, she definitely would have had some of mine if she went round. She still might, who knows. But she'll come up for the Tats Tiara regardless. So, but no, looking forward to next week. Biggest day of the year in Queensland.
Agreed. Go Queensland.
Go Queensland.